Jai Gurudev. Jai Masters. What we just chanted, all things fade away, God alone is real, all you see will cease to be, God alone is real, doesn't fall into the realm of spirituality or religion or devotion or any of these things. It falls into the realm of quantum physics. And it really, really does. And we'll just go very briefly on that. And then you will see how all of that ties into the true spirituality and the true use of the word God. The scientists, what they are discovering factually, reality, when they go down deep enough, and they've got these tremendous machines like the cyclotron in Bern that can, 12 miles long underground. It's circular, and they shoot a proton around and collide it with another proton. Unbelievable. And then watch to see what they're made of. So, I mean, this is science. What have they found? In the simplest sense, and I'm not a quantum physicist, but the understanding of what they have found is that what is down there are not electrons, neutrons, and protons. What is down there are fields of energy. That's all. Not particles. Fields of energy, waves of energy. Light. Light is an energy wave. Electromagnetism is an energy wave. They're just fields of energy. That's how they explain it. They call it the quantum field. These fields of energy, like the ocean is waves, interact with each other. When they're not interacting, this is the most beautiful part. When there's no interaction between the fields behave as waves, as just fields of energy. That's all. There's just fields of energy. When they interact, they cause what they call agitation. Two things interact. I mean, if two sine waves interact with each other, they can cancel each other out. These waves hit each other. So when the waves of the quantum fields interact, they say it excites the field because of the interaction. And what happens is the wave begins to break into particles, into what they call quantum, little packets of energy. Instead of a wave of energy, it behaves sort of like, isn't it true if you put oil in water, it starts to beat up, okay? So they start to beat up, the wave beats up, and it beats up exactly into certain size packets of energy, and each of those is called a quantum. That's what's called quantum physics, quantum energy, and that's what an electron is. There's no electron. There's just the electron field, but when it interacts with another field, it does that thing of breaking its wave up into packets. And that packet of energy is what you call a particle. That's what you call an electron or neutron or proton, electromagnetic force, etc. I'm not getting into the details. But quarks, leptons, and bosons, these are the types of particles. They're not particles. There are no particles. They're just waves. Now, that's all quantum physics is. It is saying that things behave as quantum. So that if it breaks up into a size 2 energy, there might not be another packet except a size 6. And there's nothing in between. It amazingly breaks up in those exact sizes all the time, every time. There's nothing in between. Okay? So basically there it is. Now why do I discuss that? Why is that spiritual? Well, think of the wave, the power, the force as God. That's just a force field throughout the entire universe. Everything in the universe, all the galaxies, everything going on forever is made of this. It is omnipresent. I read that once in a NASA write-up on a scientist. They used the word, the quantum field is omnipresent. Well, that's what got me thinking, well, the only time I ever heard the word omnipresent used before was for God. Omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent. Ever heard those three? Okay, well, we got one of them right there. But scientists said it. It's omnipresent. It's absolutely everywhere throughout the universe. What is? These underlying waves of energy. It's not like there are waves and there are particles. There are waves, and when they interact, they behave this way. So a particle is a certain behavior of wave when it interacts with other fields. There's nothing there. Just like light, there's nothing there. It's all made. The yogis used to say it's made of light. Master Yogananda always taught that. It's made of light. Well, it turns out he's right. Turns out the scientists, by the time they got to the bottom, said there is no matter. There is no matter. There is no weight, there is no matter, there is no nothing. There's just fields of energy moving underneath, and they behave in this quantum way that they break themselves up if they interact. If they don't interact, they just stay waves. But if they interact, the excitation of the interaction causes these quanta to be built, and then that's what you think of as an electron, neutron, and proton. Actually, maybe you've heard the words the scientists talk about quarks, leptons, and bosons, right? It makes a quanta called a quark, and there's types of quarks. So 2 up quarks and a down quark make a proton. 2 down quarks and an up quark make a neutron. You don't need to know this, but it's phenomenal, isn't it? There are no electron, neutron, or protons. There's just waves of energy that behave this way when they interact with something else. And if you put them together, except you don't put them together, they put themselves together. The natural forces put them together. When they come up, they have positive or negative, and they have what they call spin and force, etc. And then that causes, the natural laws causes them to put themselves together into a proton or neutron. And then you know what happens. Then these nothing, they're nothing. They're not there. That's why quantum physics is so amazing. They said, we look and we see this, but then we take something away and it's gone. It disappears. It's just waves. It takes certain circumstances for them to interact together to where you begin to build what you guys see as reality, as life. It's not reality. It doesn't change. I used to ask you as follows. I have in my hand what you guys call water. Okay. Now you answer me. You don't have to be a great physicist. A, B, C, D, or E. This is your test. Do I have water in my hand? Or do I have H2O molecules in my hand? Or do I have hydrogen and oxygen atoms in my hand? Or do I have electron, neutron, and protons in my hand? Or do I have quarks, leptons, and bosons in my hand? Which one is it? None of them. All of them. That is the difference between nothing being there and what you see this being here. It's just like ice and water. They're the same. What did Einstein say? Energy is matter, and matter is energy, and the difference is a temporary state. What level do you want to look at it? There's nothing here but pure energy. It didn't stop being energy because it put itself together. If you take Lego blocks and build the most beautiful castle, they're still Lego blocks. Just because now you see a castle or a spaceship, no, they are Lego blocks. This is nothing. All things fade away. God alone is real. All you see will cease to be. You say cease to be, meaning, okay, your house will fall down, or this body will die. No, it ceases to be every millisecond. These things don't stay. It's not like a quantum gets created as solid. No, it disappears. It disappears. Like we were taught, I don't mind that you know some physics, it's good. We were taught when you went to school, you drew a circle for electron rings. Remember? They circled around the nucleus, and there was 2 in this ring, and 4 in that ring, and 4 in that ring. No, it's not anything like that. They cannot know where an electron will be. It's a wave, and because of the interaction, every once in a while, periodically, it forms into a quanta, and then it disappears, drops away. And a quanta drops away. So it's kind of like an area. It's an area where they're popping up and down. Whoa. That's how tenuous you are. This is not real. And that's not spirituality talking, is it? All right. So that is the foundation of our discussion tonight. If that is reality, and it is, where's the beef? What are you having trouble with? Do you have trouble with light? It just shines. It's everywhere. Everything is made of the same. That's what we teach. It's all one. It is all one. Your body is made of 25 trillion individual living cells. Those cells are made of atoms. Those atoms do not exist. They are made of the quantum field temporarily popping out and putting itself together. It's so tenuous, it's ridiculous. The fact that it should even exist, isn't it? Why do you have trouble? Why is it not like, wow, look what it made? And don't tell me, well, but people, humans built the buildings. The buildings are made of bricks, and the people are made of bodies. That just shows how big the ego is. I did this. You didn't do anything. If something changed, it would disappear. If it stopped behaving the way it's behaving down there, everything would just be light. It would just all disappear. Now, by the way, we're talking so deep. There's a thing in the yogic scriptures and the deep teachings that talks about the manifest and the unmanifest. Ever heard that? Manifest and the unmanifest, the dual and the non-dual. Now we get into deep Zen, deep. It's not deep at all. We just told you it is unmanifest. There's a field of energy down there. Some fields of energy. They're not manifestation, okay? The closest to manifestation, when they interact, they made a quanta. There, it manifests. It came into creation. Otherwise, it's not there. There's just waves of energy. Energy is nothing, all right? So when it manifests, or when this apparent manifestation takes place, it then builds up all the way up. Like we said, from electron, neutron, protons to hydrogen atom, oxygen atoms to water. It's just, there's no answer, is there? It's still unmanifest. It's not the question, is it manifest or unmanifest? It is both at the same time. The quantum field doesn't cease to be what it is because particles manifested, did it? Water doesn't cease to be what it is because you froze it or because it became vapor. It's all the same. It's just a different form. So the unmanifest is real. It exists. It's there. It's still there right now. It's unmanifest. God. Why do I call that God? There's two aspects. NASA wants to say it's omnipresent. It is. The quantum field is omnipresent. You know what else it is? Omnipotent. What do you mean? Every single force and creation that you know of comes from that field. There is nothing else, period. There's just the four fundamental forces that create everything. Electromagnetism, gravity, strong nuclear, weak nuclear, which is unbelievable. 4 forces make every single thing you say. 4 forces turn the quantum field into you, into that. There's no other forces. And those forces are part of the quantum field. So it's God. It's God, all right? Now, people write me. They want me to get involved in discussions. Does the world really exist? Is it a figment of our imagination? Is it just mind manifesting? Can we create our universe? What do I want to think about that for? There's just a mind game. It's a mind game. And mind can't know anything. Mind is made of the same particles, the same stuff. So the deep ones, the third Zen patriarch, I always quote you from that. The great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences. It goes on to say, people want to discuss the reality of things or the non-reality of things. Pay no attention. Do not ever do that with your mind. Why? You'll just keep your mind. You can't know truth if you're hanging out in mind. Why? Because mind's not the truth. It's just something you're thinking about. So, but understand that we now have a foundation, and I hope you understand that when I use the word God, so far we have a quantum field that is undifferentiated. They see multiple fields, fine. At some point, Einstein was trying to find a unified field theory. At some point, they'll go down deep enough to where one field is behaving as multiple fields. Doesn't matter. It's still just fields, and fields are nothing. So you have an omnipresent field that is manifesting apparent forces that are causing the particles to be pulled together, and it ended up making this. That is unbelievable. And if you want to leave humans out of it, there's no problem. We've only been here for, how many hundreds of thousands a year, maybe not even a million, I don't think. All right? And this has been here 13.8 billion. Okay? It made itself. Everything. The whole planet. All the stars. All the galaxies. All the grass, the trees, the animals. Humans didn't do that, did they? So therefore, I get to say it's omnipresent and omnipotent. It made all things. It is the force of creation. Don't we call God the creator? I just don't want people coming in here that are atheists and think I don't agree with them. Compared to what people think about God, this guy in the Sistine Chapel with his finger out, touching you with a beard, okay? It's okay, all right? But to keep God the size of your mind, that's what we're doing, isn't it? You made up a God that fits inside your mind. And that's called spiritual. No, it's not spiritual. So basically we have true spirituality, which is an omnipresent, omnipotent force that is underlying all things. It is always there. Like, did God create the universe and leave? Did H2O molecules create water and go away? Of course not. They are the same thing. Ever heard the statement, all this is God, all this is God? Guess what? It is. It never ceased to be. For the force, the powerful underlying force of creation still exists, making creation the same every single second. It will never go away. It can't go away. That's why Christ said, Not a hair on your head moves that he doesn't know. Not a sparrow falls from the tree that God doesn't know. He is the sparrow. He's the hair. It's just hilarious. It is the manifestation of the unmanifest, and that used to sound mystical. The yogis sit there and say, the unmanifest manifested but remained unmanifest. If I had started this discussion with you, you go, rah. Now do you see it? It's unmanifest, and just because of the interaction of the waves, it creates particles, and then this and this and this. So manifestation and unmanifestation are there simultaneously, and it all came out of the unmanifest, and the unmanifest continues to be unmanifest. In the Hindu scriptures, they call the unmanifest Brahma. That force is Brahma. And then other forces come forth. But it's all the same thing. I could just sit here and talk to you for an entire hour this way, but you wouldn't come back. I wish you wouldn't come back to yourself, because this is the truth. You can sit there and say, how's help me put food on the table? What is food? What is the table? Who are you? It's like, give me a break. So now let's talk about the next force, consciousness. Form now exists. I want you to really get it. Is this floor solid? I just said it's nothing but a wave of energy. Energy, you walk right through it. Doesn't do anything. How come you don't fall through the floor? Do you know? The floor is not solid in no way, shape, or form. What is happening is by the time this quantum field manifests up to electron, neutrons, and protons and makes atoms, it is true that the outside of every atom surrounding the nucleus are electrons. And electrons have a charge. Those particles that got created have a charge. It's a negative charge. So now you have every single atom in creation, everything's made of atoms, surrounded with negative charges. They're all negative charge. What happens when two negative charges interact with each other? They repel. You ever done it? Hold two magnets together? That's why you don't fall through the floor. Period. There is no other reason. The floor is not solid. What is happening is the atoms that make up your foot and your entire body are strong enough to where when the atoms that make up the earth, which are all negative charge, the two negative charges touch each other, and you are not feeling the floor. You're feeling the same thing as when you push those negative poles of a magnet together. Period. When I used to teach this when I taught college, way back in the 70s, I used to tell the students, so the truth of the matter is, you have never ever touched your lover. In fact, they find you rather repulsive. No one's ever touched anybody. No one's ever touched anything. Extrapolate. If your hand is all negative and your arm is all negative, why don't they go through each other? Because they repel. Well, wait a minute. If I'm holding a magnet and I'm pushing it together, unless I'm strong enough, it'll push me away. It'll push away. How come it doesn't push it away? Because your bones are more solid than the skin. So they're bound together. The molecular bonds are stronger so they can withstand that. And so it goes all the way down. How come the earth doesn't move when I jump? What did Newton say? For every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. So when I jump down, there has to be an equal opposite reaction. The earth has to move. No. Why? Because of the solid and the negative. Okay, how come that doesn't all move? Because it orbits around and you have gravity and centripetal force. Physics is your friend. Science is your friend. It frees you from the stupidness that you walk around with all day, saying, I am this, I am that, I want this. What do you want? I challenged somebody once. I have a periodic table. Somebody gave me a gift. I have it in my study. All right, it's a nice big periodic table. Do you understand? Every single thing you interact with every single day is made of those things on that table. There is nothing else in the universe but those natural elements. That's it. All the stars, the moons, and the thing, every single thing, your baby and your hair and your zit on your face, every single thing is made of those atoms. So why are you having trouble here? Why is it not just, oh my God, this is unbelievable? Every second. Look at that. If somebody's standing there yelling at, just when you know you're getting somewhere, you did something good with your mind. Somebody's standing there yelling at you. You are not freaking out because they're yelling at you. You're freaking out because there's something there making noise. How did it get there? The quantum field manifested up to that. It doesn't matter what they're saying. The fact that they can say it is phenomenal. They made vocal cords. They make all those different sounds. And you have eardrums and things that can hear them. Oh my, it's just, you should be blown away. That's what a great master is. Ramakrishna there, that great one above the door. That's why I have the master's pictures here. I love the masters. He was so far gone that somebody had to walk behind him every minute of every day. One of his disciples, you're the disciple, you sweep the ashram and you fix this and you do this and you do that and you do that, and you walk behind the master. He's a grown man. Why have to walk behind the master? Because any moment at any time, he would see what we just talked about. He would look at this world and see God, see the reality of the underlying. His tears would start pouring down his eyes. Doctors saw every hair in his body would stand on end. The arm would go up, the head would go back, and he'd fall over. And sometimes for hours at a time, in this state of complete ecstasy, because he saw a child leaning against a tree with his legs crossed like Krishna used to stand. That's all it took. It didn't take anything. They once asked him, he would be invited to prime ministers' dinners and things. He was a very highly revered saint, one of the greatest that ever walked the face of the earth. And in India, they recognize the saints. And so he'd be invited to all kinds of places. His disciples would go with him. And he'd start doing this stuff, all right? He'd stand up and just start dancing and crying in the middle of the dinner. So the disciples would come to him and say, they asked him, don't you get embarrassed? You know what he said? Because he was like a child. He respected them so much, he would try to answer them, but he was so far gone they couldn't understand. He said, you know how you people talk about a ghost or something that you see every once in a while, a ghostly type figure would go and then fade away? That's how I see your world. All it is blinding light wherever I look, and every once in a while something you talk about seems to manifest and goes away, like a building. The great ones saw the truth. That's why thousands and thousands of years ago in the Upanishads, they said it was all light. It's all God. There is nothing but God. The rest is just a trick your mind's playing on you. It's pretty neat, isn't it? There are people who reach that state. By the way, some people walk around saying, I'm enlightened. You are not enlightened. Let's get this straight. That word is very sacred. I can't help myself. So there, I just gave an example of Ramakrishna. What about Yogananda? He came over in 1920 with a turban on his head, hardly spoke English, without nothing, no money, nothing. They sent him over to give a talk to represent India at the religious conference up in Boston. And he gave talks, and they went crazy. They loved him. And he ended up in Carnegie Hall. There's pictures of him with a turban on his head. The people standing in line wrapped 3 times around Carnegie Hall. They couldn't even get in. They filled Carnegie Hall. So somebody went to him once and said, Master, Yogananda, you must feel a lot of pride standing up there. There's pictures of him. He's this tall, short guy. That's all. And there's all these masses of people sitting in the entire auditorium at Carnegie Hall. Don't you feel pride that are proud that you've achieved this, that you're doing this, you're helping these people? And he said, no, I don't feel that. He said, I will tell you what I do experience. At the same time that the lecture is taking place, my consciousness is there, and I'm aware that's happening, but my consciousness is also on a higher plane, working with the astral beings, and they're evolving to the next level. And at the same time, my consciousness is expanding at the speed of light to the edge of the universe. I am the galaxies. My body is everything. All those are happening at the same time. That's called expanded consciousness. Guess what? You're that. That thou art. Every single one of you. All right. So what happened? So we built form, pure light. Now you can understand why they can have those experiences, because it's all underneath. It's nothing. It's just all the manifestation of energy. What about consciousness? I'll let the cat out of the bag from the beginning. That underlying, now they don't know this. That's okay. They never know it. The yogis do. They did thousands of years ago. They saw that field. They knew it was all made of energy. Einstein wasn't the first one to say E = mc squared. He formulated it, but they said all matter is energy. It's nothing but frozen energy. That energy of those underlying fields is consciousness. Not is conscious, is consciousness. That's what consciousness is. It is in the beginning, that's what was. It didn't get built out of form, right? That's hilarious. Form got built out of it. Underneath everything is God, is consciousness, is this one consciousness throughout the entire universe, aware that it's aware, I am that I am. There's so many secrets, it's ridiculous. There, that consciousness. When you concentrate consciousness, your consciousness, you get to know that consciousness. Why? Because you're conscious. That's how you have to understand. You don't know because they taught you. You don't know you read the Bible or the Gita. You are conscious, are you not? Are you aware of your thoughts? Are you aware of what you see through your eyes? Do you have emotions? How do you know? Because you're conscious. Consciousness, when you concentrate, when you focus your awareness on something, it's a power. You can feel the power. You have to say, I need to think about this. You're asserting will. Do you have will? You do have will, don't you? Can you decide to focus on something and not something else? Can you willfully look at that picture and then that picture? Can you have this thought and then that thought? Can you try to not go with that thought and have to fight it, will, and try to put it somewhere else, will? You have will in there. You're doing it all the time. Okay? What is will? Concentrated consciousness. Again, something they never teach you. They say you have free will, you have free will. What is will? Where did it come from? Wait, science said there's 4 fundamental forces. Electromagnetic force, gravity, strong nuclear, and weak nuclear. I don't care if you know anything about it. They said there's 4 forces. Okay, which one of those forces just picked up the glass? I understand the force that held my hand together. I understand the force that held the glass together, but I don't see electromagnetism, gravity, or strong nuclear, weak nuclear using the force to pick up the glass. Do you? Intent did it. Will did it. Didn't it? Isn't that funny? They missed that one. That's a pretty big one to miss, isn't it? I swear, you go talk to any quantum physicist, they'll tell you there's 4 fundamental forces. They left out the biggest thing that could possibly be. The fact that you have volition. You can make things happen, can't you? All right. So that force, if you meditate deep enough, you will realize that it's empty, it's deep in there. It's deep, it's calm, it's peaceful. It's just total ecstasy. And when you come down, you are concentrating that consciousness on your mind, out through your eyes, on your body. It's distracting your consciousness down into form. That marriage of form and consciousness is the most beautiful. Master wrote a song called Spirit and Nature Dancing Together. Spirit and nature dancing together. Consciousness and form dancing together. So if consciousness created everything and then looks down at it. There. I don't know whether you can get that, but that's the highest it could possibly be. Consciousness manifested the entire quantum field in all of form, and the same exact consciousness is looking into what was made. And you're it. That's how you can know these things. They will not know consciousness with their machines. Although Einstein once said, the deeper I look down there, the more it seems like somebody's looking back at me. Oh, I love that. And so basically, consciousness created all things. When you focus your consciousness, it has a power. Go do math in your head. You have to use will to hold it in your head. So basically, you focus. That focus of consciousness, the concentration of consciousness, is the force of will. When consciousness, it's almost like hold a magnifying glass in front of the sun. What happens? It creates a power that can burn things, doesn't it? The sun doesn't do it, but if you concentrate it, it does. When you concentrate your consciousness, it creates a power, and that is the power of will. So now you have consciousness playing with consciousness. Consciousness playing with the manifestation of consciousness. Oh my God. It's beautiful. That's why they say God is one. It's just one, okay? And you have the ability of getting back there, of being there. You are there. I've been teaching that lately. It's not you go back to God. You stop leaving. Your consciousness right now is the same as Christ. My Father and I are one. How could he say that? Because he wasn't focusing his consciousness on the individuality of his form. Therefore, the consciousness returns to the seat of consciousness. And let's say a perfect master, what that means. They're fully enlightened. They're merged into that state. Mayor Baba was there, the great avatar. They asked him once, Baba, who are you? Because, there's all this energy coming off this guy and he's doing all kinds of stuff. And he answered them. He said, I'm going to cry. I don't know if you guys can hear this. Imagine there is such a state and you went back there. And that's who you are, is the whole of which everything's manifesting. And he said, I was before all else was created, and I will be after all else falls away. There was never a time it was not, and there will never be a time I am not. I am that I am. Okay? So are you. But you are that looking down at this. But the main thing is, how big are you? And how little is this? That's what I want from this. Just for a moment. How big are you? The whole universe. That which created everything that could possibly be. And what are you looking down at? This little tiny little bug that takes up 9 square feet of space on a stupid planet of which 1.3 million fit inside one star. And there's 300 billion stars in your galaxy, and there's 2 trillion galaxies, and all you think about is that little bug all the time. That's what your consciousness, instead of your consciousness being where it is, it's looking down at this. That is what's happening, and that's what your ego is. Your ego, somebody once asked you, you're going on to what's the ego? Here's ask an enlightened master, what's the ego? We asked an enlightened master. You know what he said? The masquerading self. You contemplate that, what do you understand? That which you present with will as you is a mask that you made, like psychology said. It's your self-concept. You had events, experiences, you held them together in your mind with your will, and you made a you. This is who I am, Peter so-and-so. Really, what if you had a different name? I'm so-and-so's husband. I like that best. I'm so-and-so's husband or so-and-so's wife. Really, what were you before you met? What will you be after you get divorced? Non-existent? That's not who you are. It's what you think of yourself as, which is what the self-concept is. You had all these experiences, but instead of just, I am the conscious that had these experiences. Good, that's why you're here. I am the conscious that had these experiences. But no, you take certain experiences, which ones? The ones that hurt and the ones that felt really good. You let the rest go. White lines on the road, cars on the road, trees you drive by, clouds in the sky. Come on, how much do you let go by? You let 99.9% go by, but if it hits you as good, really strong, or bad, really strong, you don't let it go. You hold on to it. With what? Will. Like Freud talked about suppression. I like Freud, by the way, a lot. He talked about suppression. What is suppression? That something happened, it came in from outside, and you couldn't handle it, so you pushed it away so you didn't have to deal with it. That's suppression, is it not? Who did that? He didn't talk about that. He said, you suppress. Who are you? Who's in there doing this? That's the realm of yoga. You, the self, the Atman, the soul, the consciousness that is in there doing that. So you do that, you hold certain things together in your mind, and then the consciousness gets so absorbed in them that it says, this is who I am, instead of, I am God, aham brahmasmi, I am Brahma. No, I am this stupid little thing that she insulted yesterday, and I don't want to see her again. That's who I am. Really? Are you sure that's not something that's happened to you that you didn't let go of? I know his parents got divorced, and I had a really hard time. When was that? 50 years ago? It's something you built in your mind. It's not who you are. So the consciousness, your beam or ray of consciousness, is focused so much on this thing you built, your body, your emotions, your mind, your ego, all of that, it can't get out. It can't get off. Can it? It doesn't even want to. It doesn't even want to. What does it want to do? Get what it wants. Wow. So now not only is it tied and focused on your mind, your heart, your body, but you've noticed, because you're not stupid, that if you look outside, which of course you do, look outside, there are things, don't raise your hand, but let me know if you agree. There are things that can happen outside that make you feel better inside. There are things that happen outside that make you feel really bad inside. Guess which ones you like? And that's the story of your life. Because there are things that are outside that make you feel better inside, you want them. Because there are things that are outside that make you feel worse inside, you don't want them. And that's your life. Not only did you relegate yourself to this little thing, oh my God, you're everything. Focusing on this tiny little thing, and now all your whole life is about. Is your life about getting back to you? No. Give me a break. They don't even know about that. Christ tried to tell them. My Father and I are one. As I sit by the throne of my Father, the state of consciousness, so you should sit by my throne, and these things that I do, you should do these and even greater things. Every single thing Christ taught was this state of consciousness. So now you're not only staring at this, but now you've devoted every moment of your life to try to get the outside world, which is the manifestation of the quantum field. Leave it alone. We just said where it came from. So now you really care what it's doing, don't you? All right, paying no attention to where it comes from, no attention to the natural laws, no attention to natural manifestations. All you care about is, me no like, me like. Okay? And then you go out there and use your will to try and manipulate and control every person, place, or thing that comes into your entire vicinity to be the way you need it to be that will match your ego. Do you understand? I'm not yelling at you. I am so. Now you see why I spent my time talking about where this came from out there. It's pretty holy stuff. What? The fact that it exists. It's unbelievable. Anything. Dark, light, ugly, smart, beautiful. Like, what is that? It's the manifestation of the quantum field. That's all there is. And now the consciousness came down, stared at it, and got lost. And that is the fall from the garden. And just, there's no other way to explain it. And that is it. What was the tree that you weren't supposed to eat of? The tree of self-knowledge. What do you mean? I know myself now as not God, as my individual self. The ego. That's the birth of the ego. All right? And once you did that, what happened? You got thrown out of the garden and must work by the sweat of your brow. Anybody know about working for the sweat of the brow? Not only do you work by the sweat of your brow, every life coach teaches you to do it better. How to manifest what you want. Go get what you want out of life. Wow. It's wonderful. But the truth of the matter is, who are you who's doing this? And why do you need to do this? And how did you decide what you want anyways? And then go down here and say, I'm going to work by the sweat of my brow to get what I want. The great one sits there and says, I don't want to sweat of my brow. I want to go back to God. I want to be who I am. Like, why am I not okay? If you are the whole universe, drop down into this tiny little thing, I'm going to lock you up into a square that's so small you got to be squished into the trunk. How you doing? That's what you just did with your consciousness. You're locked in this tiny little thing, and it got so claustrophobic you can't even see straight. And it's not okay, and there is it. You hear me? You're conditionally okay. If things happen outside, tiny little things. I told you. Somebody says to you, you say to somebody, oh my God, I love you in somebody's arms. I love you. I love you so much. I've never, ever loved anybody as much as I love you. And there's silence. How you doing? That's not okay, is it? There's a whole universe. Galaxies. 300 billion stars. And this is what you're down to? Okay? Or maybe he or she says, yeah, I love you too. Oh, no. They said, I love you. No, they didn't say the right tone. That's what you're down to. OMG. It's not easy, is it? That's why you suffer. That's why Buddha said all life is suffering. Because you got lost in here. But I want you to know who you are. You are unbelievable. I just wanted you to get that. It's not like, I could be greater than I am. I could win. Oh, win what? Your tiny world is so stupid small. It's ridiculous. I'm trying to show you. Well, how much room do you take up? How much room did your life take up? What do people sit there and say, well, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. I know what you're going to do with your life. You're going to die. I promise you. I don't know where I'll end up. I do. That is what you're going to do with your life. You're going to die. So in between, you can either sit there and suffer and try to get things that make you feel better and build your... Every single thing you do is building your ego. It's sitting there saying, I matter, I'm important, I am this little tiny thing that I want people to look at me with respect and smile and think I'm pretty or handsome and like me. I want to have a lot of likes on Facebook. Whole lot of those things, okay? Why? Because it makes me feel better. Look how tiny you have defined your world. That's why I spent my time talking to you in the beginning about your quantum physics. Why? Because it's you. Your body's made of that. And you care about whether somebody thinks your nose is nice. I'm not yelling at you. You can have your nose job. You can do whatever you want. I don't want you to give it up. I just want you to understand. Once in your life, understand you are so much bigger than that. You are so much bigger than that. You are a very great being. But you're looking down and out. Why? Because you are distracted by the thoughts you collected out of your good times and bad times. Yeah, I don't know. It's so small I can't even talk about it. How small did you make yourself? It's pretty amazing. It's amazing. The closest I can come to these analogies is, let's say you are out in nature and all around you is beautiful nature, forests and grass and things, nature. But there's a telescope in the middle of the field, and it has a 1/8 inch aperture. That's what they have. tiny little apertures. And you happen to see it. It's just one of the things in the field. It's just all in nature. And you go, oh, I wonder what that is. You go down and you look there. And what you see is so fascinating that you forget that you're looking through the telescope. You get sucked into what you're looking at instead of the one who's looking. So you will never see the reality of the beauty of nature of the whole field. You will see 1/8 inch little thing, and you're striving to look through there, and you're hoping that what you want to happen will happen out there on Mars or wherever you're looking at. All right? You just get lost in what you're looking through the aperture. Do you understand that? That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. You're like the sun. How many rays are there from the sun shining down on the earth? You can't even count them. You are a ray of God consciousness, one with all of it, focusing on that tiny aperture that looks through your eyes. You will get to the point, not when we talk about it or think about it, where you realize, oh my God, is this thing small? That is pretty small when I'm looking at it and caring what everybody thinks about it. Did I say something that hurt you? I'm so sorry. Oh, I didn't mean to. What in the world? How many words are said everywhere at the same time that you said some stupid little thing? How can you be so caught in yourself? Don't worry, everybody else is, all right? Except a great master, which is why the pictures hang on the wall. You are a great being. You don't have to worry about what people think about you. What a funny thing to do. You know what it means to care what people think about you? It means that just as you are staring at yourself, the little tiny thing you collected as the sum of your learned experiences, that person over there is staring down through their self as the sum of their own experiences, which have nothing to do with your experiences. And you care what you look like to them. You lose because you have no idea what you look like to them, and anything you do is just going to be what you would have done if you were them. Because that's all you know. All you know is what's going on in your mind. Oh, they probably like it better if I do this. I probably hate it. This is crazy. It's insanity, the way we're living. No wonder there are wars. No wonder there's so much crazy stuff going on. You're just lost in the sum of your learned experience and then trying to make everything outside be the way that makes you feel better and never be the way you want it to be. So you do this, or you get divorced, and get married, and you lie, and you do every single thing that could ever possibly be. You know, I'm only human. You are not only human. That's the biggest lie that ever was told. You are the divine being looking down at this thing. Ramakrishna used to call it it. I can't focus on it. That's what it is, isn't it? It was hang below him. If he wanted to, he could look down there, but he didn't have to. He was so high. There was once a Buddhist master, a great, great non-dualist Buddhist master that visited the ashram before everybody realized who Ramakrishna was. And he looked at the guy and he said, you're really deep. Would you like to experience what's called nirvikalpa? Ramakrishna was caught in what's called sabikalpa. All light. That's all he saw was light. Manifestation of light everywhere. Divine Mother, he called it. All right? And this non-dualist said, light and mother, let's go to the unmanifest. Let's go beyond all that. And the monk took him down to a hut, first time, sat him down and said, take your attention, your consciousness, and put it at the point between your eyebrows. One pointed focus at the point between your eyebrows, and don't take it off no matter what happens. It's a true story. So Ramakrishna sat down there. He put his attention there, and he was a meditator, and he fell into his level of samadhi all the time. Put it there, and all of a sudden, you imagine this non-dualist Buddhist sitting there, and Ramakrishna starts going, Ma, Ma. He's just floating into ecstasy, right? And the Buddhist hit him in the head. He said, what are you doing? He said, well, Mom came under all the light, and I told you to put your attention point between your eyebrows and not take it off. He said, but no, don't take it off. And he picked up a piece of glass in this corner of the hut, and he didn't hurt him, but he twisted it in his forehead. And pay attention to where that pain is, right? And maybe after 2 or 3 times, Ramakrishna sat there, and he went past. No ma, went past the light into the unmanifest, right? And sat there for days. And he would run down to the hut. That's where he wanted. He wouldn't, oh my God, he didn't want anything to do with this world. He wanted to stay in that state, right? Until he tells the story that at some point, he was told inwardly, put a governor on your head until you die. You're not going past this point. Otherwise, he would just go there and sit. Well, that's what the great yogis did. They went to the caves and sat. People say, well, why would a great yogi go in the cave? Now do you understand? What? You know how they looked at you? Oh my God. It's a good thing the Buddha said the highest state was compassion. They didn't look and judge. They felt sorry for you. Compassion. It doesn't need to be, you don't need to be suffering. Believe me, you don't need to be suffering. It's not even real. So basically, now we have consciousness and energy, don't we? The manifestation comes up, consciousness looks down, and then it gets lost. It's lost. And I can't help myself. The garden, how about the garden? Like the Bible, the Old Testament. When we read the Old Testament, in Genesis, when they fell from the garden, remember that story that God walked around the garden looking for Adam? Adam, where are you? We're one. I mean, we're all merged. I don't understand. Where can you be? And Adam said, I'm hiding. How do you hide from everything? How do you hide from God? And Adam stood up, and God looked at him and he said, whoa, what's that around your waist? A fig leaf. I put fig leaves on fig trees. What's it doing around your waist? He said, I was naked. That is so potent to a yogi. That's the birth of ego. My body isn't even natural. Every animal's naked. All of a sudden, you develop self-consciousness because you identified with your body. It was always naked. You just were merged in the universe, looking down and enjoying the dance of creation. Now I got a little too close. I ate that apple. I fell down into it and identified with it. And now it's naked. And now I have to do everything it needs me to do. My whole life is now out instead of in. That's why meditation is taught to you. That's why the great teachings are taught to you. The answer is inside. Why? That's where you live. That's who you are. You're the greatest thing ever walked the face of the earth. So then you come down to, because you understand now, we really built this model, didn't we? You are God consciousness, manifesting creation, and looking down into it. Guess what? That's what's supposed to happen. That's not the fall from the garden. It's like you go into a video game, you play the video game. No, I don't want to try. No, you're supposed to try. You're supposed to be in there. You're supposed to try to win, aren't you? You're supposed to go to the different levels. This is God's idea of a video game. What God? The whole universe, all the galaxy. Remember how big it is? So this is how we'd make a game. All right? And now he's down here playing. Except you got caught. You thought you were the avatar inside the video game. Oh my God, he's shooting at me. That's a better analogy than look through the telescope, isn't it? You look down into that virtual reality and, oh my God, you're gone. So basically, it is meant to be a dance. It is meant to be a game. It is meant for you to do the best that you can. Each one of you are a manifestation of the divine creation playing in its own creation. That's what it's supposed to be. You're supposed to try to win the game. You're supposed to do as best you can. But not because you're caught inside yourself and you're doing it for this little twipper little thing. Do you understand the difference? The Gita says, there's a chapter in the Gita called, be the best wherever you are. But don't identify with it. Don't do it for any particular reason. Just, it's just the fun of creation. So the way I look at it, and I'm going to stop. You want to talk about devotion? Here's devotion. You are God's emissary, experiencing the part of creation that you're experiencing. Nobody else is seeing what you're seeing. Nobody else has experienced what you've experienced. Nobody else will ever experience what you're seeing through your eyes. Right now, you're all looking at a different angle, aren't you? No one will ever see the same thing ever again. It will never exist again. So you have this unique job of bringing back to the divine consciousness the creation that's in front of you. Be here now. All right. We took a big journey tonight. I would love if just once in a while during the day you stop and remember what's going on. I understand we're not out yet. I understand it's going to pull you back in, but you just stop. I do it all the time. All right? Just ever see the sun during the day? Ever feel the heat or something? Stop, look up, and realize you are spinning around one star, and 1.3 million Earths fit inside that star. And you're this dinky, you think there's this dinky little thing on one spot on that Earth, and there's 300 billion of those in your galaxy, and there's 2 trillion galaxies. And then check out what you're worrying about. Check out what you want. Free yourself. Free yourself. Little by little. Not renounce. It's not about that. Free yourself. Give yourself the breath to realize what's really going on, and you will, over time, find yourself sitting in that state. And then you can go even beyond. There's no end to how high you can get. So when Yogananda said, I felt my entire body expanding at the speed of light to the edge of the universe, that's nowhere. That's still Sabiko. That's still in manifestation. The great ones went past that. I'm sure he did too. Okay? That's just still form, isn't it? It's just your consciousness liberated from your little body to where it can experience all of form. Now you stop looking through the eighth-inch aperture and you see the whole field. There, that's what that is. There's another state beyond that, the oneness. When Christ said, my Father and I are one. My Father and I are one. That's what he meant. He's merged. You know what else he said? The kingdom is within you. What do you mean the kingdom is within you? You in there. You in there? Hi. The kingdom is within you. That's where it is. You don't find God out here, not in the Sistine Chapel, not in a church, not in a synagogue. Inside you. Baba Bhaktananda. Meditate on the self. In other words, concentrate on where consciousness is coming from. Concentrate on the source of consciousness, not the object of consciousness. Meditate on the self. Honor and worship your own being, for God dwells within you as you. Jagger.